Hola, me llamo Señorita Angeline Guevara.
Me llamo Señorita Diana Rose Guevara.
Today's video, we're going to tackle about the Chapter 13, Rizal's visit to the United States, 1888. Rizal first saw America on April 28, 1888. His arrival in this great country was marred by racial prejudice, for he saw the discriminatory treatment of the Chinese and the Negros by white Americans. He kept notes of what he observed during his trip from San Francisco to New York, where he took a ship for England. From his notes and his letters to his friends, we get a wealth of first-hand impressions of America, some of which were rather unfavorable but true. Rizal was a man of truth, and he wrote what he had seen and experienced. Arrival in San Francisco. The steamer Belgic, with Rizal on board, docked at San Francisco on Saturday morning, April 28, 1888. All passengers were not allowed to land. The American health authorities placed the ship under quarantine on the ground that it came from the Far East, where a cholera epidemic is alleged to be raging. Rizal was surprised because he knew there was no cholera epidemic at that time in the Far East. He joined the other passengers in protesting the unjustifiable action of the health authorities. The American consul in Japan had given the ship a clean bill of health, and the British governor of Hong Kong certified to the absence of cholera cases in China. He soon discovered that the placing of the ship under quarantine was motivated by politics. The ship was carrying 643 Chinese coolies. At that time, public opinion on the Pacific coast was against ship coolie labor because the coolies from China were displacing white laborers in railroad construction camps. To win the votes of the whites in California, for election was near, the administration impeded the entry of Chinese coolies. Rizal noticed that, contrary to quarantine regulations, 700 bales of valuable Chinese silk were landed without fumigation, that the ship doctor went ashore without protest on the part of the health officers, and the custom employees ate several times on board the supposedly cholera-infested ship. After a week of quarantine, all first-class passengers, including Rizal, were permitted to land, but the Chinese and Japanese passengers of the second and third class accommodations were forced to remain on board for a longer quarantine period. Rizal in San Francisco. On Friday afternoon, May 4, 1888, the day he was permitted to go ashore, Rizal registered at the Palace Hotel, which was then considered a first-class hotel in the city. On this day, he wrote on his diary, "I lodged in Palace Hotel, $4 a day with bath and everything included. Stockton Street, 312. I saw the Golden Gate. On Sunday, the stores are closed. The best street in San Francisco is Market Street." Rizal mentioned in his diary the name of Leland Stanford, who was a millionaire senator representing California in the U.S. Senate at that time. This senator was the founder and benefactor of Stanford University at Palo Alto, California. Also recorded in Rizal's diary was a street, DuPont Street, in Chinatown, which is Grant Avenue today. Rizal stayed in San Francisco for 2 days, May 4 to 6, 1888. The President of the United States at that time was Grover Cleveland.
Across the American continent, on May 6, 1888, Sunday, 4:30 p.m., Rizal left San Francisco for Oakland, 9 miles across San Francisco Bay by ferryboat. In Oakland, he boarded the train for his trip across the continent. He took his supper at Sacramento for 75 cents and slept in his coach. Early the following morning, May 7, he awoke and had a good breakfast at Reno, Nevada, now glamorized by American high-pressure propaganda as the biggest little city in the world. Rizal's diary recount his travel observation as follows. Monday, May 7, I saw an Indian attired in semi-European suit and semi-Indian suit leaning against a wall. Wide deserts without plants nor trees, unpopulated, lonely place, bare mountains, sands, a big extension of white land like chalk. Far from this desert can be seen some blue mountains. It was a fine day. It was warm and there was still snow on the top of some mountains. Tuesday, May 8, this is a beautiful morning. We stop from place to place. We are near Ogden. I believe with a good system of irrigation, this place could be cultivated. We are at Utah State, the third state we pass over. In approaching Ogden, the fields are seen with horses, oxen, and trees. Some small houses are seen from a distance from Ogden to Denver. The clock is set 1 hour ahead of time. We are now beginning to see flowers with yellow color on the way. The mountains at a distance are covered with snow. The banks of Salt Lake are more beautiful than other things we saw. The mules are very big. There are mountains in the middle of the lake, like the island of Talim in Laguna de Bay. We saw 3 Mormon boys at Farmington. There were sheep, cows, and horses in the meadows. This region is not thickly populated. A flock of ducks in the lake. Children greeted us at the Salt Lake City. In Utah, the women serve at the table. We changed train at Ogden, and we will not have any change until Denver. In Provo, I ate much for 75 cents. We are passing between 2 mountains through a narrow off channel. Wednesday, May 9, we are passing through the mountains and rocks along a river. The river is noisy and its noise gives life to the lifeless territory. We woke up at Colorado, the 5th state we crossed over. At 10:30, we climbed up a certain height, and this is why snow is seen along the way. There are many pines. We passed through tunnels made of wood to protect the road against snow. Icicles in these tunnels are very bright, which gave majestic effect. The porter of the Pullman car, an American, is a sort of thief. Colorado has more trees than the 3 states we pass over. There are many horses. Thursday, May 10, we woke up in Nebraska. The country is a plain. We reached Omaha, a big city, the biggest since we left San Francisco. The Missouri River is twice as wide as the Pasig River in its widest part. It is marshy. The train passed over the Missouri Bridge for 2.5 minutes. The train goes slowly. We are now in Illinois. Friday, May 11, we woke up near Chicago. The country is cultivated. It shows our nearness to Chicago. We left Chicago at 8:14 Friday night. What I observe in Chicago is that every cigar store has an Indian figure and always different. Saturday, May 12, a good Wagner car. We were proceeding in a fine day. The country is beautiful and well populated. We shall arrive at the English territory, Canada Z, in the afternoon, and we shall soon see Niagara Falls. We stopped for some time to see the points that are beautiful. We went to the side below the falls. I was between 2 rocks, and this is the greatest cascade I ever saw. It is not so beautiful nor so fine as the falls at Los Baños, but much bigger, more imposing. The cascade has various falls, various parts. We left the place at night. There is a mysterious sound and persistent echo. Sunday, May 13, we woke up near Albany. This is the big city. The Hudson River, which runs along, carries many boats. We cross over a bridge. The landscape is beautiful, and it is not inferior to the best in Europe. We are going along the banks of the Hudson. They are very beautiful, although a little more solitary than those of the Pasig. The Hudson is wide. Beautiful ships, sliced granite rocks were paved along the railroads. There were beautiful houses between trees. Day fine. Our grand transcontinental trip ended on Sunday, May 13 at 11:10 a.m.
Rizal in New York. On Sunday morning, May 13, Rizal reached New York, thus ending his trip across the American continent. He stayed 3 days in the city, which he called the Big Town. He visited the scenic and historic places. He was awed and inspired by the memorial to George Washington. Of this great American, he wrote the puns, "He is a great man who, I think, has no equal in this country." On May 16, 1888, he left New York for Liverpool on board the City of Rome. According to Rizal, this steamer was the second largest ship in the world, the largest being the Great Eastern. He saw with thrilling sensation the colossal Statue of Liberty on Bedloe Island as his ship steamed out of New York Harbor. Rizal's impression of America. Rizal had the good and bad impressions of the United States. The good impressions were the material progress of the country as shown in the great cities, huge farms, flourishing industries, and busy factories. 2. The drive and energy of the American people. 3. The natural beauty of the land. 4. The high standard of living. And 5. The opportunities for better life offered to poor immigrants. One bad impression Rizal had of America was the lack of racial equality. There existed racial prejudice which was inconsistent with the principles of democracy and freedom, of which the Americans talk so much but do not practice. Thus he wrote the punts, they do not have true civil liberty. In some states, the Negro cannot marry a white woman, nor a white man a Negress. Hatred against the Chinese leads to difficulty for other Asiatics who, like the Japanese, are mistaken for Chinese by the ignorant and therefore being disliked too. In 1890, 2 years after Rizal's visit to the United States, Jose Alejandro, who was then studying engineering in Belgium, roamed with him on 38 Rue Philippe Champagne, Brussels. Alejandro had never been in America, so that one day he asked Rizal, "What impressions do you have of America?" "America," answered Rizal, "is the land par excellence of freedom but only for the whites."